Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Thank you for your patience today. Could you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth today?
I do.
Would you state your name?
My name is Brooke Wichterman.
Thank you, Ms. Wichterman. Mr. Greco?
All right. Good morning, Ms. Wichterman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please, once again, state your name for the record.
My name is Brooke Wichterman.
Okay. And where are you employed?
I'm employed with the Michigan State Police Forensic Science Division in the Toxicology Unit.
Okay. And what is your position at the NSP Forensic Lab Toxicology Unit?
I am a forensic scientist.
Okay. And generally speaking, we're going to get into this case, but what are your duties and responsibilities of a forensic scientist? What do you do?
I analyze blood and other biological specimens for the presence of alcohol and drugs.
Okay. Can you please describe for the jury your educational background?
I have a Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry from Villanova University.
Now, I'd like you to look at, I'm going to hand to you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 3, which is a copy of your curriculum vitae, your CV, or your resume. You have that in front of you?
I do have it.
And does it accurately describe your education, training, and experience?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to move for admission of Exhibit number 3, Swickerman's CV.
Mr. Lee, have you had a chance to look at that?
It was sent to me in the email.
Any objection to that admittance?
No.
All right, that'll come in, Mr. Greco. Thank you. Proceed.
All right, Ms. Wickerman, describe your training in toxicology.
My training in toxicology has mostly been through the Michigan State Police. They have a module-based training program that we use for any analysis that we're learning. It begins with an observation period where I observe another trained scientist performing the method I'm learning. After that, I am observed performing the steps of that method, and the final step is me going through a series of competency tests. The tests are performance-based, where I analyze a series of samples that have been previously analyzed, and my results must match the previous results of the trained scientist within given acceptance criteria. After that, there's also a written and an oral-based test, both of which test my knowledge on the subject and my ability to accurately testify to my results using that method. Once that's completed and I pass, my supervisors review that and they sign off on me being competent in whatever method I'm learning.
So when you get the job, it's a lot of tests and training and competency for you.
Yeah, in the beginning, definitely.
Yeah, okay. And all the things that you just talked about as far as the observations, the testing, the coming within the margin and the written and oral exams, did you pass those?
I did.
Thank you. Since the completion of your training, have you tested blood samples for ethanol and drugs?
Yes.
Okay, approximately how many times?
For alcohol specifically, I have tested a little under 3,800 samples.
And have you testified in court before as a forensic scientist?
I have.
And approximately how many times have you testified in court before today?
4 times.
Okay. And have you been qualified as an expert each time?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move to qualify Ms. Wickerman as an expert in the area of forensic science, specifically in the area of analyzing blood for presence of alcohol under MRE, Michigan Rule of Evidence 702.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any objections? Qualified.
All right, Ms. Wickerman, did you test a blood sample in this case regarding the defendant, Dwayne Lee?
I did.
Okay. And how is it, now you've never met Mr. Lee, correct?
No.
Okay. So how is the blood sample in this case that you indicated that you examined regarding Mr. Lee, how is it received in the triangle?
The evidence that we receive comes to us typically through first-class mail. It's sent in small cardboard kits cardboard boxes that we refer to as kits with an evidence-safe seal on that.
And that's the normal way a sample gets to your lab, first class mail?
Typically, yes.
Please describe protocol in your laboratory governing the reception and documentation of evidence?
Our evidence comes to us, like I said, through first class mail. It comes to the main evidence reception area in the laboratory. Our technicians in our toxicology unit are the ones that retrieve the kits, and they will bring them back to our toxicology evidence reception room. Once they bring the kits to that room, they begin to open the kits one at a time. The first thing the technician does is they make sure that the evidence safe seal is still intact. After that, they're going to break that seal and begin moving the items of evidence out of the box. Typically, what's in the kit is the blood tubes and the paperwork that goes along with them. The technician compares the information on the blood tubes to the information on the paperwork, and they make sure that everything matches. At this point, they can begin to enter all that information into our information management system for our laboratory, and they will also give that case a unique toxicology identification number. That's what we use to refer to the case from the time that it's in our laboratory. After they're done entering all the information in the system, they will put those tubes into our secure refrigerators.
Okay. And was the protocol that you just described done in this case?
Yes.
As far as your involvement in this case and observations of what you did and do, was there any irregularities with regard to the evidence in this case?
No.
Okay. What method does your lab use to determine the presence and the amount of alcohol in a person's blood that's submitted to you?
We use a method that's called Headspace GC-FID. In simple terms, what that method is able to do, it takes a sample, which is a mixture of different components. It's able to separate that mixture into its individual components and identify what that is, what they are, and measure how much of each is present. Our method is specifically looking to identify and measure alcohol in the mixture.
And is there a protocol for the use of this method?
Yes.
All right. What is it and why?
There's a protocol so that we make sure that we're treating each case that comes into our laboratory the same way, and to make sure that our quality standards are being met for each case.
Okay. And was the protocol followed in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And what measures or quality control steps are taken to ensure that the results are reliable and accurate?
There are a variety of different quality control steps that we use. The instruments that we use are calibrated with each batch that we run. We also prepare a set of control samples that are run throughout the batch. Control samples are samples that have known amounts of alcohol in them. We run them throughout the batch to make sure their instruments are operating correctly and giving us reliable and accurate results. We also prepare and run a series of samples that are negative, which means they don't have any alcohol in them. Those are run throughout the batch to make sure that our instruments are detecting alcohol where there's none present. Also, after the instruments are done running, my work will go through 2 different review processes before my report is going to get released. The first review is done by a supervisor who makes sure that my batch meets quality control standards. And the second review is done by another trained forensic scientist who looks at my work for the case before the report's released.
And were all your instruments in proper working condition for this case?
Yes.
And how many tests did you perform on this specific blood sample?
So for each blood tube that we are analyzing for alcohol, I prepare 2 different samples from that blood tube. Each of those samples get run on their own individual instrument, and each instrument is going to measure the amount of alcohol in that sample twice. That gives us a total of 4 measurements for alcohol in the blood tube, and the result that we report out is an average of those 4 results.
And did you obtain a result after testing the blood in this case, Mr. Lee's case?
I did.
And did you prepare a report?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hand you through the ether, I guess, People's Exhibit number 4, which is, I'd like you to take a look at that and describe for the court what that is.
This is the laboratory report that I wrote for this case.
And on page 2, it has your signature.
Yes.
And what does your signature on the bottom of the report mean?
It just means that I'm the one that wrote the report.
Let's see, I think you talked about this, but, what were the findings in this case? What does your report indicate?
The result that I reported was 0.125 grams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood.
And this, in fact, is the report that you,
Yes, this is the report that I wrote.
Your Honor, I'd like to move for admission of Peters Exhibit number 4.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, any objections?
For it,
What do you just put in front of you? All right, that'll come in. Thank you.
Do you know what the legal limit for alcohol or operating for alcohol in the state of Michigan is for operating a motor vehicle?
The legal limit is 0.080 grams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood.
0.080. Was Mr. Lee's blood in this amount in excess of that?
Yes,
It said 0.125.
correct.
So that report in your report, the number in your report is higher than the legal limit that is legally allowable in the state of Michigan to operate a motor vehicle, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions here.
Mr. Lee, any questions for Ms. Wichterman? I think you can do it from there. Try it. I think she'll hear you. Yeah, I mean, you can do the podium if you want to, but I see all your paperwork's there. Ms. Wichterman, if you cannot hear Mr. Lee, just let me know.
Okay.
hello.
Hi.
So you say that so you say that the answers that you gave to the questions as well. Well, first of all, you know you're under oath as well, right?
Yes, I'm aware I'm under oath.
Okay, you're for certain that the answers that you gave to all the questions that were asked to you by the prosecution were specific to my case and not in general.
Yes, some of the questions were specific to your case. Some were general questions.
Do you recall which questions those were?
Which were general or which were specific to your case?
Which
She sounds like a scientist, doesn't she?
absolutely I'd like to know.
No, you're very specific. I like that. Yeah, go ahead. Clarify with her.
I'd like to know what exact answers you gave were specific to me and your recollection of what you did in regarding to my case. Was my blood tested? Or well, I'll get to that later, but what questions were referring to me specifically? And what questions were instead?
Yeah, the questions that were more general were the ones that were asking me about how my laboratory, the protocols that we use, and the questions that were more specific were the ones that were asking me if I analyzed the case, your evidence, and what my result was.
So, in other words, you're saying that you absolutely recall that you follow every general normal protocol procedure in
Every
my
time-
specific situation.
I don't specifically recall analyzing your tubes. However, I use the same protocol and I make sure that I'm following the steps of that protocol every time I perform an analysis. I always follow it, so that's how I can be sure that I did follow the protocol in this case.
So in other words, you're basically saying that you normally would, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, yes or no. You normally like to stick to a certain procedure, but you don't recall if that took place specifically in my case. Is that what you're saying?
I always follow the procedure when I'm performing the methods in my laboratory. I do not specifically remember picking up your tube and analyzing it, but I always follow the procedure.
would you say that the answer yes or no would kind of be an oxymoron?
Yeah, you could say that.
Or write that down. Okay, so you're saying on record that the answer that you just gave could be considered, in your opinion, oxymoron.
I don't know exactly what you mean by that statement.
Basically, they're contradicting each other. You're saying that you normally like.
No. I got to correct you. She's not using the word normally. She's using the word always.
Okay.
Vastly different meanings. I think that's where you're getting in problems with her.
Well, that actually proves my point a little bit better. Because if she says she always does it, then there shouldn't be a question of whether she did or not with me.
That's her position. That's what her testimony is. I always do it. Every time I do a test, I do it the same way every time.
She doesn't recall.
And that's why we do things the same way every time, so we don't have to specifically remember a specific case. That was her testimony. You can follow up with that testimony, but I'm just correcting you. Don't use the word normally because she doesn't use that word. No, that's all right.
I'd like to add another question. Would you say that a basketball player would like to take his shot the same way every time? Would you know?
Your Honor, I would object to relevancy. I'm not sure where we're going here. Question.
Yeah, how's that relevant?
I'm going to make it correlate to this.
Well, there's a vast difference between playing basketball and doing a scientific analysis. So I don't think that's any more analogous than pork chops and horsetails.
Can I
You can try another question.
can I give like a response to that?
No,
Yeah, I mean, because
you can try another question. I've ruled that that one's not relevant, so try another question.
you say that your job requires a very precise concentration on methodology.
Yes, I definitely pay attention to what I'm doing very closely.
So I said, would you say that your job requires you to, in this particular instance, I didn't ask you what you do. I asked you, is it important to be concise and to always follow the methodology?
Yes, it's important to always follow the methodology.
Would you say that, would you say that the smallest room for error, would you say that the smallest error could damage was it fair to say the smallest error would damage the integrity of these tests?
Yes, if there was an error, it could damage the integrity. That's why we have a lot of quality assurance steps in place to try and make sure that those errors do not happen.
Other than your word, do you have any record of these precautions that you took?
Yes, we do keep record of the quality controls measures that we take.
Via what?
Sorry?
What are these record keeping methods that you take?
Like I said, we prepare and we run all of the control and negative samples throughout the batch. That the results that we get for those samples are kept and documented in our laboratory. I also explained how there are two different review steps that go on, and both of those are documented in our laboratory information management system.
Would you say that the improper handling of the police department when they obtain the blood, the improper handling as it pertains to keeping it in a certain temperature, if they keep it in different, do you think in your, no, let me rephrase that, from your opinion, in your opinion, can the integrity of the test, the blood samples that are given to the officers, uh,
Mr. Lee, can I help you or try to?
yeah,
Let me just ask a question. If it's not what you're going for, then that's fine. You can ignore it. Ms. Wichterman, I think where Mr. Lee is trying to go with this is it possible that the integrity of your analysis would be affected by the improper storage of the sample prior to the lab receiving it?
yes.
Yes. We do not, I mean, I cannot control how the police agency is going to store or handle the evidence. However, there have been several journal articles and scientific studies that show that regardless of room temperature or how long the samples are kept at room temperature as opposed to our secure refrigerator, it's not going to affect the integrity of the blood samples. And I do have some of those with me if you'd like me to present them, but or go further on that.
So, are you familiar with the term fermentation?
Yes, I'm familiar with that term.
So it's not possible. Well, can you give your analysis on what fermentation is?
Fermentation is when there's a certain bacteria that is able to take sugar and metabolize that sugar.
And when does that become?
The sugar, one of the byproducts that it is going to create is carbon dioxide.
Would ethanol be included?
Yes,
Okay,
byproduct.
and just for the record, I'm asking ethanol be included in that bacteria that will be composed or produced by this fermentation process.
Yes. However, the tubes that we used for collecting blood do have ingredients in them that prevent that fermentation. They have a preservative known as sodium fluoride that prevents the growth of any sort of bacteria and metabolism of anything in the blood.
And the thing that you just referred to, that is called an anticoagulant. Is that correct?
That is one of the other things that is kept in the blood tube. What I refer to is a preservative. The anticoagulant is another ingredient that just prevents the blood from clotting to make it easier for us to analyze.
So what are you testing for? What are you measuring when you're measuring these DUI blood samples to determine alcohol? What is the actual element that you're testing for?
We are testing for a variety of different alcohols. One of those is ethanol. That is your regular drinking alcohol, and that's what I reported on the result. Other things we're looking for are acetone, isopropanol, and methanol.
And just for the record, this fermentation process that I spoke of, if the blood sample is not handled correctly and the blood ferments, then that does produce ethanol. Am I correct?
It wouldn't happen in the blood tube because of that preservative, but if it were to happen, and in general, if fermentation did occur somewhere, somehow, yes, that is a byproduct.
Yes, that's all I want to know. Does the fermentation process produce the ethanol that you are looking for in these tests?
Yes, fermentation would create that as a byproduct.
And why? And what are some of the reasons that you know under your profession that fermentation can take place?
If there's a sufficient amount of bacteria or if there's sugar.
Okay, so what are some of the reasons that the bacteria can grow?
I'm not sure. You
So
would have
you are,
I don't
so
know.
you're aware of this terminology, you're aware of the fact that this process can take place, but you're not aware of what can cause it.
Yes, it's not something that is relevant to the integrity of our analysis, so it's not something that I'm familiar with how I would make it take place if I wanted to.
Okay. Are you for certain, other than the label that's on the blood, that the blood you receive is my blood?
We use the labels on the blood as the identification. It comes in the kit with the paperwork that is going along with it. We compare the paperwork to the blood tubes and make sure that the same name is listed on both. that's how we know what blood we're analyzing.
Just gonna ask either yes or no. Are you for sure that other than the label that's on the blood, that the blood you received was my blood? Yes or no?
No, we just use the label as an identification for the blood that we're receiving.
So in your opinion, would it be fair to say that is it possible that the label could be mislabeled?
I did not put the label on it. That would not be a question for me. That would be for whoever took the blood and put the label on it. I'm not sure what they did.
You're not sure for the record whether it's possible or whether it's fair to say that it could happen.
I wasn't there when the label was put on the blood tube, so I don't know.
Okay, so in the course of this case, we spoke in generality, we spoke in
Specific, yeah.
So I'm speaking in generality now. Is it possible that it can happen?
I don't know. I'm not a part of that process.
You don't know whether, for the record, you don't know whether or not it's possible that, have you never heard of any blood being mislabeled?
I have not heard of any blood being mislabeled.
You specifically haven't heard of that. Do you know what the calibration curve is?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain that?
Yes, it's one of the quality control measures that we use. I mentioned earlier that we calibrate the instrument with each batch that we're running. We prepare a series of samples with known amounts of alcohol in them for the things that we're looking for in the sample, and we run them on the instrument. This essentially teaches the instrument what it's looking at. So if we give the instrument a sample with a known alcohol concentration, it knows that that concentration is going to give a certain amount of intensity on the detector. It teaches the instrument how to accurately read a sample for alcohol. We do that at the beginning of each batch so that the instrument is operating properly.
So, in other words, yes or no. In other words, in relation to like a weight scale, if it's not properly calibrated, well, in regards to this machine, if it's not properly calibrated, could it be wrong results?
If it wasn't properly calibrated, yes.
So for the record, it's fair to say that if this machine was not properly calibrated, it can leave wrong results. Okay?
Yes, and that is why we make sure that that calibration curve that you mentioned is meeting all of our quality standards, and that's also why we run those control samples to make sure that our instrument is calibrated properly throughout the batch.
And this calibration curve is made, this calibration curve passing of the assessment that you make is according to your calculations, right?
The instrument uses software that calculates the accuracy of that calibration curve for us, and that's something that I review as a scientist, and my supervisor is also going to review.
Right. Ultimately, I mean, any scale that you calibrate is going to calibrate. According to your analysis, you make the conclusion of whether it's calibrated or not correctly. Correct.
I make the conclusion based on the information that the software is providing me, and my work is also checked by my supervisor.
And this is the gas chromatography
Yes.
machine.
Yes.
And in your profession, you never heard of these machines malfunctioning?
No, every instrument is going to malfunction at some point.
Well, I'm sorry.
Instruments do malfunction, correct? Yes, they do. A GC
Okay.
isn't going to work properly all the time. That's why we have all the quality assurance, making sure that it's operating correctly during the batch.
All right. This anticoagulant that we spoke of that's in the vials, and also the other, I forget what other
Preservative.
preservative you said. Under oath, if that amount of anticoagulant not enough inside of that vial, in other words, if enough of it is not put inside, can it or can it not damage the integrity of the result that you get from that blood sample?
Yes, it could, but that would also be something that I would notice when preparing the sample. If there was not enough of an anticoagulant, I would get a very clotty sample, and it would be very difficult for me to pipette any sort of blood from that sample. And it would definitely cause issues, but that would be noted. If there was no preservative present or not enough preservative present, I would observe if anything had happened to the sample, I would observe things with the sample, things like bubbles or any sort of CO2 or pressure that would indicate that there wasn't enough preservative.
And you're stating on record that you are for certain, I mean, this is your word, that you did everything correctly.
I followed the protocol.
Is this machine called a Delta G?
Sorry?
Is this machine that you perform this test on called a Delta G?
It's called a GCFID.
GCFID? It was just different brands? Is a Delta one of those brands? Or is that the brand?
It's an Agilent is the brand.
Okay. No. Oh, and were you the only one that handled this test?
I am the individual that received the test when it came into our laboratory. I was working as a technician at the time, and I received the evidence and placed it into our secure refrigerators. I am the scientist that then took it out of the refrigerator and analyzed it for alcohol. After that, one other scientist performed an analysis on the sample. They performed our preliminary drug screen. That was after I had already analyzed the blood for alcohol.
So the blood was refrigerated beforehand,
Yes.
and I mean, would you have to take calculations of the refrigeration process as well?
Our technicians look at the refrigerators twice a day and making sure that they're at the right temperature, and they do document those temperatures.
Why do they do that?
Sorry?
Why do they do those calculations?
We have samples and a lot of other chemicals in the refrigerators that it's part of our protocol to keep them at a certain temperature. So they make sure that the refrigerators are at that certain temperature. It's just a part of our following protocol.
What would happen if the temperatures were wrong? What would you do?
The protocol says that we will notify a supervisor and they will either get someone to fix the refrigerator. If it occurs for a long period of time, we'd probably move the standards, all the chemicals that we have in there, into our secondary refrigerator.
And lastly, once again, you stated that the handling of the blood before it got to you, you have no recollection of that.
I was not there before the blood got to me. I don't know how it was handled. However, there have been studies that show that the handling of samples or storing them at other temperatures besides in a refrigerator will not affect the integrity of the sample.
Okay, well, you brought up studies. So are you aware that there are studies that say that the temperature of the upkeep of temperature of blood can in fact affect the integrity of the test in a negative sense as well? In other words, you heard these tests that say that it doesn't. These are just analyses that are made by specific people. But have you heard of tests that say that it doesn't affect the integrity?
That it does?
Yes.
I am not aware of any peer-reviewed scientific literature.
Okay.
Mr. Lee, I got to correct something though. I think, Ms. Wichterman, correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's specifically speaking of the state police test kits that they get. That the studies show that the storage temperature doesn't matter with those because of these preservatives and other things that are in those too.
Oh, no.
So I that's why I'm asking, because I think maybe the studies you're talking about aren't specifically as the MSP test kits.
No, I meant the actual blood, not the kits. like the actual organic blood in of itself. Because you brought up the bacteria that can grow in this blood because it is an organic matter. So I'm speaking of that in and of itself, the temperature of the blood, not the temperature of the body.
Let me try this. Miss Wichterman, if somebody drew blood and just put it in a straight glass tube, no additives, for you to get an accurate test on that, the storage of that sample, the temperature it was stored would be important, wouldn't it?
Yes, I would think so.
Okay. All right, because the way I'm understanding what you're telling us is the way the state police kits are produced with the additives in the tube make it unnecessary to have a temperature controlled storage process from the draw to the testing.
That's correct. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought I was where you were trying to go, and I thought maybe that was a better way to get there.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion.
No problem at all. Go ahead.
Also, does in regards to, let's just say that I did drink alcohol and there was alcohol in my system. I was a person that had alcohol in my system. Does weight of a person, yes or no, does weight affect the integrity of tests that are taken?
Weight would not affect the integrity of the test. No. Either way.
Well, in other words, let me say this. Let me rephrase the question. When the police get blood, or when they draw blood that is at a hospital, when you're dealing with drivers that are driving drunk, they pull someone over, and you have them on the side of the road, take them to the hospital, they take that test. Let me start with another question. Does blood alcohol content, which is what is being measured here, does that rise and fall over time?
In an individual's body.
In any individual's body that has drank alcohol?
Yes.
Right, thank you. So, if you do have a person that was drinking alcohol and an officer pulls them over and they take him to the hospital, they take a test, they get that blood at that specific time. Is that blood that they took at that specific time the exact blood level that was at the time of operation?
No, we're looking at the amount of alcohol in the blood at the specific time of the draw. That's the blood that I'm receiving in my laboratory.
So, would it be fair to say that even if that whatever that blood was, whatever that level was you got back, that possibly, in your opinion, is it fair to say that possibly wasn't even the level of the person's blood when they was driving the car?
I can't perform that calculation. I'm not sure. There is a possibility that it would be slightly different than the time of the draw, but I can't perform that calculation.
So, also, once again, you say that not does the weight affect the integrity of the calculation. Does weight affect the way they metabolize alcohol?
Weight could affect that calculation of how it's metabolized. It could affect the effects that one feels at a certain blood alcohol concentration, but it won't affect the blood alcohol.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Just please answer me yes or no to this.
Sorry.
Please, that's the question. Does weight affect metabolism of blood alcohol content? Yes or no?
Yes.
Does race affect blood alcohol content metabolism?
I'm not sure if race is a part of the calculation. I don't know. Every individual is going to metabolize and feel the effects of alcohol differently.
That's another question that I was going to ask. Does genetics affect the intent or the rate of alcohol content metabolizing?
I don't know specifics. I don't know.
You just said it does because you just
No, she said every individual is different.
metabolizes is different.
I'm not
Well,
You
trained.
asked specifically,
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
not trained in those calculations, so I don't know specifically. Um, I don't know about genetic factors.
Okay. Does gender affect the rate of blood alcohol content metabolized?
Yes.
Okay. So anybody that is pulled over for DUI or they get arrested for DUI, it's fair to say that their blood alcohol content level is rising or falling as time is moving by, right?
Yes, the body metabolizes alcohol.
No further.
any redirect?
Yeah, just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Wickerman, was there any evidence of any fermentation or contamination in the blood vials for Mr. Lee?
No, like I said earlier, one of the other products of fermentation is carbon dioxide. So we would have seen pressure build up in the tubes when I opened it or gas bubbles in the tube, and I did not see either of those.
And we were just talking about the body metabolizing blood. Would it be fair to say, well, in this case, your report indicates that at the time of the blood draw, Mr. Lee's blood alcohol level was 0.125 grams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood, correct?
Yes.
Right. And the metabolization of alcohol breaks that down, that it would go down over time generally, unless you just recently consumed some alcohol, correct?
Yeah, it would depend on when the alcohol was consumed.
Okay. So would it be fair to say, in your professional expert opinion, that at 11:30 or 11:41, Mr. Lee's blood alcohol would have even been greater than what's in your report if the blood draw took place an hour or two later, and we know that he did not have any alcohol at that time based upon the observation of the officers?
Yes, if no other alcohol was consumed, that would be a fair statement.
So at the time of you weren't here, but at 11:41, if that was the time of an accident that Mr. Lee was involved in, that his blood alcohol level would have been even greater at that point in time.
I can't say for certain. I can't perform that calculation.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any recross based on those questions, Mr. Lee?
No.
Okay, Ms. Wichterman, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Greco, anything else from the people?
Yes, we do have one more witness.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dave, text her. Text her, they might have questions. Go ahead and text her first before she starts something else.
The officers outside.
No. The scientist that we just cut off.
Oh, okay. Well, let me.
No, you just look at those and then we're going to discuss whether or not they should be asked.
All right, I just texted the witness to hang on. That's a great question.
Have her to just call back in. All right, I didn't ask for any commentary, Mr. Lee. I just asked you to look at them. Not yet.
I have no objection.
To any of them? All right, so I've got one piece of paper that seems to have three different questions. 1 and 2. So no objections to any of these questions?
One of them regarding the education. There is a resume that you will be able to observe.
Yeah, the degree at Villanova. All right. All right, so the other questions, Mr. Lee, you're okay with?
Well,
All right, and Mr. Greco, you're okay. All right, let her in.
My apologies.
Oh, no, it was my fault. I'm a creature of habit, and the jury had some questions, and I forgot to ask them if they had questions for you before I let you go. All right, so, all right, why is the temperature of the refrigerator at the lab important if it doesn't matter for the blood sample in the kit?
It's just a part of our best practice to keep it refrigerated. There's also a lot of other standards and chemicals that are kept in those refrigerators that it is important that they stay at that temperature.
All right, so the refrigerator is not just for the blood kits from MSP.
No, we have standards that our laboratory uses as well.
Okay. Can you describe in further detail how the instrument used detects alcohol in the blood?
Yes. So when we are preparing the sample, we take a small measured amount of blood and we put it into a short glass vial. That short glass vial is capped, and that is what is placed onto the instrument to be analyzed. The vial, once it's placed on the instrument, is heated up. Ethanol and other alcohols are volatile, meaning they want to be in their gas state when they're heated up. So as that vial is heated up, any alcohol in the sample is going to go into its gas state. And the instrument is going to take a small measured amount of the gas in the vial and run it through the instrument. As that gas goes through the instrument, it separates from being a mixture to the individual components. Those individual components are the alcohols. They then come out of the instrument one at a time, and there's a detector that detects the alcohol coming out and the intensity of that alcohol coming out to give a measurement.
Thank you. And the studies you referred to regarding temperature, storage temperature of the blood sample, are those peer-reviewed and published within the last few years?
Yes, they are peer-reviewed. That was published in 2015.
Thank you. All right. Chew all that over. Did it leave anything unanswered? All right. And do either one of you have any questions for Ms. Wichterman based on those questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, you spoke about the temperature, heating up to the gas. Does the machine do that on its own, or do you handle that process yourself?
That's something the instrument does.
So, are you able to see whether it heats it up at the right temperature or not, or properly, or at the right levels while it's doing that, or how do you go about determining that?
There is a standard that is also added to each sample that we call an internal standard. That internal standard is how we monitor that that sample is being treated correctly in the instrument. It's added in a known amount, so we know what level we expect it to be reported for that internal standard, and we monitor it throughout the batch with each case to make sure that it is at the right level.
And that internal standard refers to you're measuring the
Ethanol?
the ethanol, the acetone, and methanol.
Yes, and isopropanol, and as well as the internal standard, which is N-propanol.
Right, and the propanol. Right. So you know for certain, or you know, I'll say this, yes or no. And in this particular case, you took the time out to stop the testing and make sure that that's doing it the right way.
We don't stop the test throughout the batch, no. That's something that's monitored by the instrument throughout the batch as it runs.
Or, well, I'm sorry, I said that before you were able to go in there and make sure that that was all functioning properly. And you did it, yes or no?
Yes, we make sure their instrument is functioning properly. We do that by running those calibrators, the controls, and the negative.
Mr. Greco, any questions?
No further questions.
All right. Now we're done with you, Ms. Wichterman. Thank you very much. Enjoy
Okay,
your
just
day.
call me back if not. Thank you.
Thank you. You're satisfied. We're satisfied. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Greco, you have one more witness?
Two.
You guys all right to keep working? Okay. All right.
Okay, Officer Trent.
Watch your step on my incline ramp. Raise your right hand. Swear affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Have a seat. Settle in the chair. State your name one time. State your name and spell your last name.
My name is Trent Fields, Fields.
Continue, Mr. Greco.
Officer Fields, are you currently employed?
Yes.
And where are you currently employed?
Ramos Police Department,
And what is your position of employment there?
patrol officer,
And how long have you worked for the Romulus Police Department?
2 years.
Are we working on the evening of October 2023?
Yeah.
Do you recall being called to the scene of an accident?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately what time of the evening?
It was like 11:41 p.m.
And what do you recall about that evening?
I recall being called to a 2-car accident at the end, 71 morning Chamberlain. IRL on scene, and I observed my partner, Officer Shaver, helping a male out of the driver's seat of the Ford Explorer.
Okay, that accident occurred here in Romulus?
Yes.
Once you observed the driver and your officer with the driver, did you have any interaction with the driver before Explorer?
I did not speak with the driver, but when he was getting out of the vehicle, I was standing there while he was escorting him to an ambulance or to a firefighter to get him somehow for a possible.
And was that individual you observed get out of the vehicle in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Where is he?
he's right there.
Yeah, let the record
Noted.
be. Okay. Once Mr. Lee identified as out of the vehicle, what did you do next with respect to your involvement on the scene?
At first, I went around to see if there were any witnesses that might have seen the crowd or anything like that. I eventually did a inventory search on the Ford Explorer, and we went to talk to the other driver of the other vehicle, which was a Ford Fusion.
And was there any evidence of alcohol within Mr. Lee's vehicle? So you did an inventory of it?
Yes,
Okay. What evidence did you find of any?
I found a bottle of tequila on the passenger floorboard.
Okay. And was it empty?
No,
And did you?
yeah, it still has some fluid in it.
Okay. Did you do anything to see if it was alcohol, water, or anything like that?
I did not.
It was just what was it, a bottle? You said tequila?
Yeah, it was a bottle of tequila.
All right, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Exhibit 1. Let's take a look at that. You can describe for the jury what that is.
Yes, this is the bottle of tequila that passenger floorboard.
And I think we already established that Officer Grishaber took that photograph, correct?
Yes,
Okay, where did you place that?
I placed it on the hood of the Explorer.
Were you wearing a body cam camera that day?
Yes,
Had it on at a certain time when you got this? Your Honor, at this point in time, I'm going to play a portion. Officer videos. Oh, we need to play the video. Video. Oh,
Do you
yes. There. Okay. Jump. All right. So for the court, this video is a little bit longer, about 35 minutes, so I'm going to advance to the record moment. Officer, this looks like a body cam from that height.
yes,
This looks like the actual scene had you been up. And again, Your Honor, the video is about 35 minutes long. I'm going to advance for my purposes. So about the 11-minute mark.
Go ahead.
No, I'm muted.
Officer, again, this is your body, correct?
correct.
Position on your chest. Yes. What is it that you're doing here?
I'm gonna be in the source of the board.
There, Stanley, lead up more. But at this point in time, Mr. Lee is with the ambulance.
Correct.
And this will be on the side of the vehicle.
Correct.
The white that you thought that was the here.
Correct.
They must have. Now, does this look like you go to the passenger side of the vehicle? That the front passenger area again with airbags deployed?
Correct.
Is that you just see yourself getting a bottle?
Correct.
So I think right there, is that a bottle of tequila?
Yes.
Okay. Heard a sound, does that sound like you placing it on the hood?
Yes.
We don't see it yet.
Open the tequila bottle, there's still something there.
So that's the bottle of tequila that's in the photograph?
Correct.
And this is you placing it on the hood of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
That's on Mr. Lee's vehicle?
Correct.
The Explorer that night?
Yes. Wow, to be honest with you, no one will want to
It's quick on me. Only doing.
This is Officer Rick Hamilton taking the photograph, correct? Now it's in one, correct?
Correct.
You really can we have those for the one because now. You shouldn't even know.
So officer, that was the bottle of tequila that had some fluid in it at the time you put it on the hood, correct?
Correct.
Is what we played on the, what you indicated was your body worn camera, does it accurately depict what's in the video that was displayed for that evening?
Yes.
That is when you got on the scene, advanced it to the inventory you were taking of the vehicle, of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
You're on a like for a mission of Exhibit 5, body worn camera of Officer Trent.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, any objection to that coming in?
No.
Thank you.
I have no further question.
All right. Mr. Lee, do you have any questions for this officer?
Spring look. Couple. I don't remember you being there. When did you say you arrived?
Shortly after he did. Shortly after my parent.
Okay, so first off, why is your camera muted?
Why was it muted?
Because I
Probably.
heard it say unmuted.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. At that time, I believe we were gathering a plan on what we were gonna do, who was gonna go to the hospital to get your blood, or try to do the blood test, who was gonna do the inventory searches of the car, who was gonna do the impound slips. There's a lot of things that go into accidents. That's what we were probably talking about.
Why do you need to might do that?
I honestly don't know. I can't recall 2 years ago exactly what we were saying back there. But if I had to guess, it was probably some kind of game.
Okay, my things were with the vehicle when you searched it. Was there, I would say in your opinion, was there either another search done before that, or would it be fair for you to say that you don't know why my stuff was all over the car like that?
Well, you were just involved in an accident. It looked like it was a pretty good one too. I mean, your stuff's not gonna stay still in an accident.
Okay, so are you aware of any searches that any other officers did that day? Or are you aware that, or is it from your recollection that any other of the other officers performed a search on my vehicle
Like a prior inventory search,
prior to you coming?
prior to me coming on the scene? No, I don't.
So you were the first person to do the search?
Of your vehicle? No, I was not. You asked if I was the first to do it. If you asked if I did when I arrived on scene. I was not the first to look at your vehicle. No, I was not.
We're not. So are you saying that you weren't the first person to look through my vehicle after you arrived or before?
Before, I don't know if anyone did, but after I got on the scene, I was not the first one to look at it.
So who was the first?
I believe it was Officer Green.
So if Officer Green performed the search before you, how did he not find that bottle of tequila? I'm not saying you put it in there. I'm just saying, how did that not go? How you kind of missed that, or did you think he missed that?
I mean, he might have missed it. I mean, it's always good to have a new set of eyes when you are searching something. But he might have just missed it. I can't explain why he didn't find it.
So in other words, he possibly made a mistake and looked over that bottle that was in that car.
I guess it's possible.
Okay. Are you aware of how that bottle got in that car?
No, I just found it on the floor.
It's found. So you didn't witness either any operation of any vehicles. You didn't witness me driving a vehicle. You didn't witness the other person driving a vehicle. Anything of that nature, Mr. Malcolm.
No, I didn't see you driving a vehicle.
So, and then after you perform the search, Can you recall what your game plan was with the officers?
What I was doing?
What, I guess, what you all were doing?
Yeah, so I believe Officer Shaver and I believe the Kevin gone to the hospital to speak with you at the hospital and get your blood draw, whatever was going on at the hospital. Me and my partner agreed we were doing the inventory searches and the impound slips, I believe, and waiting for the totals.
And did you speak with the other driver?
Yes, I did.
And so, did you make a police report?
No,
So you didn't have to make a police report and arriving on a scene of a crime or the scene of an accident?
no, because I was already going to be an Officer Shaver.
So, you were allowed, and yes or no, you're allowed to interact with the crime scene, or you're allowed to interact with the people and ask questions and take statements, but you don't have to write a report as to your input on the matter in any way.
Well, not necessarily. If I go and speak to Slayhouse, I assume that my partner, Officer Shaver, went and already spoke with that driver. This was after when we were just waiting on tows. I was just talking to the driver, having a normal conversation about what was going on and about where the cars were going. It wasn't anything criminal. It was just a conversation that we were having.
Yeah, I mean, I just asked that because your point, I guess the key thing, well, I wouldn't say the key thing because they got the blood test they did as well, but when you pulled that alcohol bottle out of that car, that was pretty much a key point that you would say in you all's investigation, am I correct?
Yes.
So who was in charge of making that documentation up? Who found that?
Well, it was an Officer Shaver's report. He put in there that I was doing that.
So he was the person to report you going inside of a car and grabbing. I mean, was he right? Was he standing there while you did it?
No, I called him over there after I found it, after I placed it on the hood to show him what I found. I told him where it was so he could document that in the report.
Oh, any questions?
Any further? Also, you can step down. Watch your step on the ramp. Anything else from the people?
No, Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
Okay. How about at least a short break while we kind of figure out what the game plan is, and then we'll communicate with you and let you know what we're thinking, and then you can decide if you want to take a break or not, or a lunch break or not. All right, this will be a quick one. I haven't seen any other bodies today, so is it safe for me to assume that you don't have any witnesses to put on?
I mean, I didn't get the world off.
Yes or no? Do you have witnesses to put on? All right. Do you want to testify?
Doesn't matter.
I'm just trying to figure out timing.
No.
You don't? Okay. All right. So here's my question. We can probably, first of all, do you want him to go over any of that video with you to see if you want to present any of it? Did you get a chance to look at minutes of, portions of the video where you thought might be important for you? I'm not going to give you 2 hours to watch all of the video, but if you need a few more minutes with Mr. Greco's help to spot check that video, I'll give you that.
I mean, I don't see anything in those videos that he has that, though there were multiple officers that I spoke with, there was multiple officers that were there, and there were multiple things that were said. That's why I wanted to.
Okay, but my question to you is would it help you at all if I gave you and Mr. Greco, 15, 20 minutes or so to go through the videos?
Yeah, I can.
All right, so here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest that if they want to take a half-hour lunch, get them back here at 1:30-ish. You can do the video. We'll take a few minutes to do final instructions, and then we'll get them back here and do closing statements and send them in. If after watching that video, you decide you want to put one of the cops back on the stand or something like that, then we'll accommodate that when they get back from their break.
Yeah.
Maybe. Unfortunately, maybe. Understand? Sure. Yeah. I just mentioned that. At some point, we're going to do closing argument. All right. So you guys can go ahead and look at the video. I'm going to bump my head in there and just tell them that we think for the flow of the trial, it would be better if we take a break. And if they want to hang out here for a half hour, they can. But if they want to go get something to eat, I'll give them a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever they want. All right. You might want to go look at the video because I just got you a half hour to do that.
Oh, he's better than me.
You're going to do it in here? That's fine. All right. Let's you and I go over final instructions. I can't get much closer to you though because I'm plugged in. Because what I'd like to do is get them where I think they're at, and then you can switch them, and then those two can both look at it and see if they got any objections. Make sense?
Hey, Judge, I have a jury. Please grab his jacket.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, grab it. Grab it.
Well, I gotta go back. Hold on.
Right, take him out through the door here, Judge.
However they want to do it. Yeah. Yeah, that one should go.
Where it go?
Page 1, the defendant statement, and then the other.
Okay, okay.
Can we come sit here? Yeah. Or
What, I'm gonna put you in the jury assembly.
okay.
Yep.
When we come back, where did we go?
Jury assembly, where you started this morning.
Yeah.
Then when you're all together, Joe will take you back. No, I think we want defendant statement as evidence against the defendant.
He was never tested, nothing was never done. So you said, because it says there, Dwayne. Well, I mean, all or not, it doesn't matter with regard to your situation. What he did is fine. I don't know. Yeah, zero. I'm zero. Listen, I'm like, I'm here. That's something that makes no difference. I don't care. So he says he's in here, he's able to EMS or hospital, whatever.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, I would like this. Okay, I would like that on the video. Like, there's another part of the video before they talking to the boss. Before he even got there. When I told them that I trained, and I'm going to show them here, I'm telling you. I'm going to show you here. I said it in my opening statement. That's how I trained. Said I'm talking because I can't hear all talk. I have evidence that I don't. He knows. This is fun. That's all on the side of my tweet. That's fine. I didn't say it was your fault. I'm not saying that you did. I'm just saying this is crazy. I can't do none of this. I didn't get a call to none of this. Even before that. There's like 7 officers. There's like a bunch of officers gonna say, hey, I talked to them. That's like but I would like to show that he lied. He said his hand was injured and he hurt. He's still there. And he never went to the